Hey everyone, this will probably be the final row Savage chargeblade build I'm making for now until we figure out something better. To quickly answer the question if row is better than element, yes and no. On good elemental matchups, the element CB will be stronger, especially on like the SAD matchups like Gravios. But you do lose two strong CCs, which is KO and Para. This video is purely meant for row comparison, so it's just showing the strongest row Savage builds and doesn't mean they're better than element. I will compare the Gore set damage-wise to the Burst or Agitator set, so you can also see the difference. By the way, if you wonder why I unlisted my Flare Partbreaker video, it's because Flare is indeed right now bugged and doesn't work as intended. You still get the 280 damage procs, which on a monster with average hit zones is about a 5% damage increase, so it's still pretty strong. I mean, you can probably get better skills, but in combination with Partbreaker, it's a very fun set to play, and I didn't bother changing it, I still play with it. But let's wait till it's fixed and see its true potential before I go back into that build. Let's jump straight into the set. So we're using two Gore pieces to get Frenzied. When you cure it, you will get 50% affinity and 10% from antivirus. I know antivirus was saying in the description 10, but the description is also bugged. It's actually in the files 3, 6 and 10. So when you get cured, you get a total of 25% affinity. This will allow you to reach 100% crit chance on weak spots with the help of Agitator, Maximum Might and Weakness Exploit. Note that we are not taking into account the 20% extra affinity that comes from Weakness Exploit on wounds, simply because the uptime of them is almost non-existent, so it's not very valuable to count it in. The reason I used one additional burst instead of a fifth Agitator is because we already are at 100% affinity, and it's always active when you change through the monster, so it's a little bit more damage. Coalescence comes for free with the build, so I took it over a different build that had instead no Coalescence and 2 extra level 1 slots. It does nothing for row, but it will increase your status, and especially if you get a Chargeblade which has like full attack, sharpness and no affinity and no element, that extra element or status is cool. As for weapon upgrade, you want to only roll for row damage, since we don't need any extra affinity. Preferably, or you should have one sharpness. If you get some status boost, it's okay as well. On the weapon, crit boost 3 is a must-have, razor sharp, handicraft if you have less than 2 sharpness rolls, and magazine attack for load shells. You can use anything else instead of that attack, whatever fits the best for you. If you don't like load shells, you can use guard up, you can use more handicraft, it's whatever. I mean, load shells is pretty cool and comfy, but once you're charged up with like Savage X, you don't really lose files, so it's not that mandatory of a skill. Sharpness is kinda your most important DPS factor, since dropping from blue to white is a 10% damage loss, whether you crit or not, so it's like always damage that you will lose. So make sure to have enough sharpness for at least until the monster changes area. But let's compare the numbers now a bit. The Gore set has 384.3 FR. Effective row is basically the number taking into account row, crit chance and sharpness. It's basically kinda another word for DPS, so the higher this number is, the more DPS you will have on row builds. The burst set is 262 EFR. You basically just use the rule of 3 to find the percentage difference, so 100 divided by 384 times 362, which is 94. This means you will be doing with the burst at 6% less damage. This is taking into account that antivirus boost and frenzy cure is always active, so in reality it's less. Even if it takes you just 10 seconds, that's still uptime, so it will be less than 6% difference. I have a third set in comparison because you can either have a burst 5 or edgy 5. So between those two sets, 100 divided by 368 times 374, this means the Agitator set is in theory 3.2% more damage than the burst set. However, Agitator is not 100% active, which means you can multiply the number by the uptime. If Agitator is half the time up on the hunt, which is more realistic, the difference will be only 1.5%. For me personally, the burst set is the most consistent one, and that's what I like using. I also don't have to deal with the annoying health drain from Frenzy, because I did fight like Gore with Frenzy, and if you don't like hit it consistently, Gore will one-shot you with most of his moves, having that missing health. Now obviously there is skills like Adrenaline Rush that give you 30 row, which theoretically is better if you dodge non-stop and keep that uptime. Or Foray, which is 20 row and 15% affinity, making it the strongest skill in the game kinda. If you can maintain full poison uptime, which is possible on poison weak monsters like Suvu. But you have to like keep iframing for Adrenaline Rush, so don't consider those skills right now. If you want to see a poison build, let me know in the comments. Offensive guard is also pretty busted numbers wise, like if you can slot it in the weapon and if you take advantage of the guards. If I personally don't really guard with Savage Axe, I just activate it once and that's it. Then I mostly just iframe or just, I mean the monsters with Apara and KO CBR just lock down at least half a fight. So yeah. Well, that's about it. I tried to keep it short. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and stay tuned for elemental chargeblade builds or the Beyblade build for dual blades I plan on doing. And with that said, I wish everyone a nice day and happy hunting.